this video, we'd like to introduce you to our oil and gas example. To access it, head over to our GitHub repository, SciChart WPF examples. Once there, navigate to the sandbox folder, then to customer examples, and finally to the oil and gas example. We'll share the link to this folder for easy access in the description. Now, let's open this example in Visual Studio. This project demonstrates a potential use case of the SciChart library within the oil and gas industry. The example is broken down into three main components: a panel of 2D vertical charts, a grid of 2D horizontal charts, and a separate 3D chart. Let's go through each one step by step. We'll start with the vertical panel of 2D charts, located on the right. These charts represent various patterns of drilled wells, which is a common need in the industry, as there are many well parameters to monitor. Each chart is aligned equally across the panel, meaning they all share the same width. This layout could be particularly beneficial for our users. Let me show you how to achieve this. In the vertical panel view, we define an items control to display a set of SciChart surfaces. We also define a custom items panel template with a uniform grid panel. This grid allows you to set the number of rows and columns and distributes the available space accordingly. For this example, we've set the rows to 1 and the columns to 6, as we only have 1 row but 6 charts. Next, I'd like to highlight a few SciChart specific features. The first feature is the vertical chart orientation. By default, SciChart surfaces have a horizontal orientation, meaning the x-axis is horizontal and the y-axis is vertical. To rotate the chart by 90 degrees, we swap these axes. You can achieve this by setting the axis alignment property directly on the axis or within an axis style. In this case, we use custom styles to align the x-axis to the left and the y-axis to the top. We define these styles in the vertical panel resources. For instance, the shell chart x-axis and y-axis styles both set the axis alignment properties. These styles are then applied using the SciChart MVVM API, which allows us to specify styles using style key properties in a numeric axis view model. The second feature I want to highlight is how to customize the axis's visual appearance with a custom axis template. SciChart supports full WPF customization, including control templates and styles. In this example, each chart includes a data legend at the top that displays parameters specific to the chart. This legend is part of the axis control, and we customize its appearance by creating a custom axis control template. This template includes the default axis elements, like labels and ticks, but also adds a content presenter to display the legend. To determine the content of the legend, we use an attached property called axis legend content. This allows us to define custom content for each chart's legend. The layout for each legend can be customized in the axis styles, and different charts may have different visual representations. The third feature is chart modifiers, which allow for synchronization between multiple SciChart surfaces. For example, when you hover your mouse over the texture chart, a tooltip is displayed on all the charts. You can also zoom in and out, with all the charts zooming simultaneously. This synchronization is achieved using a modifier group and the mousemanager.mouse event group attached property, ensuring all surfaces respond in sync. Moving on, another feature is the palette provider, which changes the color of data points within a series. For example, the shell chart displays different colored horizontal stripes. Each data point's color is controlled by the SciChart Point Metadata API. We attach metadata to each data point, specifying the desired color, and then apply this using the palette provider, which ensures the data points are rendered with the correct colors. Now, let's talk about setting a visual brush background for a chart. In the shell chart, The green cross pattern appears to be a background for the first series on the left, but in fact, it's applied to the entire SciChart surface. The first renderable series has no background, allowing the surface's background to show through. This approach can be useful for users who need to set complex WPF visuals as backgrounds for chart series. Next, we'll look at the horizontal 2D charts panel. This grid contains 9 charts, equally aligned in a 3x3 layout. We use a uniform grid panel again, but this time we set both rows and columns to 3. Unlike the vertical charts, the axes and grid lines are hidden, providing a clean, dark background. We accomplish this by collapsing the visibility of the axes and by setting the Draw Major Grid Lines, Draw Minor Grid Lines properties in the axis styles. Finally, let's discuss the 3D chart. This chart displays multiple scatter series with varying point marker sizes and colors. It also features customized X, Y, and Z axes with specific visible ranges and style settings. For interaction, we've added orbit and mouse wheel modifiers, allowing users to rotate and zoom the chart. In the 3D chart, we use the SciChart 3D Surface Control. With axis styles applied to all 3 axes, we synchronize the modifiers in the same way as the 2D charts, using a modifier group. The scatter series colors and sizes are set using the Point Metadata API, just as we did in the 2D charts. That concludes the features in this oil and gas example. It demonstrates how SciChart can render multiple 2D and 3D charts in the same view, offering extensive customization options. If you have any questions or need further clarification, feel free to reach out in the comments below. We'll also share links to the relevant documentation for the features we've covered in the video description. Thank you for watching.